David Bass, Executive Director for Philanthropic Governance with the Association of Governing Boards of Colleges and Universities. I am delighted to talk today with Nikki Krauss, Chief Client Officer for Strategic Investment Group. It's an established best practice that every new member of a governing board receive a robust orientation addressing critical information about the institution and the work of the board. In addition to a one-time orientation, AGB believes that board education should be regularly incorporated in meetings and retreats. In Endowment Management for Higher Education, published by AGB earlier this year, you suggest that new investment committee members should receive a committee-specific orientation. Why should investment committee members receive a special orientation upon being appointed to the committee?
Thank you for the great question, David, because I think this is so important that orientation is a best practice, and specifically within investment committees, because if you make a mistake in an investment committee, it can be very expensive. Secondly, there is a lot of specific knowledge that's required relative to an investment portfolio. And when a new investment committee member comes in, they're looking at a portfolio and the work that's often been done over many years, and understanding why a portfolio is positioned as it is extremely important. And sometimes we ask investment committee members to come in who are very experienced members who feel that they're being asked for their expertise, which they are, and they want to apply that to the portfolio. And understanding evolution is often better than revolution in an investment portfolio is critically important, unless, of course, there are major things that need to be changed in the investment portfolio. I'd also say the work of a committee, the investment committee specifically, being clear on the role and responsibility when they're coming in is very important. And sometimes that is not as clear to a committee member when they're being asked. So making sure they're clear on the role. As an example, some committees choose investment managers. Some investment committees actually outsource that either to an outsourced CIO or they allow their internal CIO to do that. So when an investment committee member is coming into the committee, they need to understand if they're going to be choosing managers or not. And in some cases, frankly, knowing that it's not their responsibility and making sure they still want to serve, which is a very interesting dynamic. We also want to make sure they have very good understanding of where the portfolio fits within the enterprise. There's a lot of things that affect an institution's ability to take risks that have to be understood. How much debt is outstanding? How is the school positioned from a competitive perspective? Are they getting a lot of applications? Is the discount rate where they want, or it's trending up or trending down? All of these things inform the ability to take risk in the endowment, and understanding why the strategy is in place and keeping with where it fits is very important to understand.
Okay, so first and foremost, perhaps making sure the role and responsibilities of the specific committee, and then understanding some of the legacy that has informed the investment strategy of the committee. Yes. Every member of a board shares the same fiduciary responsibility, but members of investment committees have some very special responsibilities, and as you suggested earlier, some really critical and potentially impactful responsibilities. What specific information does the board as a whole need to know about the endowment, and what additional information is needed by new investment committee members?
Yes, thank you. So the full board still acts as a fiduciary. So they have the duties of care, loyalty, and prudence. And part of that is understanding what we were just talking about and where the endowment fits within the enterprise. They also are entrusting the investment committee to actually fulfill this. And so understanding the investment strategy at a high level is important. And also that has the added benefit of essentially insurance for volatile periods like we're living in today, that they don't feel that the portfolio is being potentially mismanaged or has the wrong level of risk, and will seek to step in and change the strategy at the wrong time. Also, understanding applicable laws and regulations is important. So we actually in the book recommend that an attorney comes in once a year and advises the group on the laws that are applicable to their particular institution, state-specific rules relative to UPMIFA. As an example, spending rates, we're going to start to talk more, I think, about underwater endowments, which of course are an important part of UPMIFA. So those are important things that the full board has to understand. Of course, the committee has a lot of additional depth that they have to have an understanding about. And again, in the roles and responsibilities, it will outline what is the role of the committee and making sure that they're fulfilling that responsibility. There are a couple other things that I would suggest are very important. Number one, it's become a best practice that groups do a stress test, and stress testing a portfolio to look, let's say, at a -2 standard deviation event and saying, okay, what impact would that have on our psyche, and potentially losing that amount of money on paper? What impact would that have on spending distributions? Do we need to think about anything else as it relates to that? That's a best practice. And then the other thing that I think should be understood by all, but especially by the investment committee, is the impact of new gift revenue. So many times there's such a focus on if we can get another 1% return, if we can get another 1% return. Absolutely, we should be doing all we can to get another 1% return in our endowments, if not more. But understanding also how important new gifts are for the institution to grow the endowment to the level we're seeking can be as important, and even more important, of course, depending on the level for particular institutions. So making sure every group understands that is also a way to get the biggest growth in the endowment.
You mentioned UPMIFA, the Uniform Prudent Management of Institutional Funds Act. That's something I think colleges and university governing boards are going to be hearing a lot more about.
Yes.
I think a lot of board members have not had to deal with UPMIFA and spending from underwater funds since 2008, 2009. Looking beyond the committee's specific orientations, what type of ongoing education regarding endowment management should the board as a whole receive, and obviously members of investment committees as well?
Yes. Well, I'll give credit to AGB because the annual Foundation Leadership Forum taught me so much over the years, and it is a must-attend event for me. And frankly, many of the things that we wrote about in the book, I have learned through my attendance at that event over the years. So I think that provides amazing opportunities to get best practice information that we can share with our boards and investment committees. And then around the same time of the year, NACUBA releases its annual endowment study. So those two things in combination provide amazing insights that we can be sharing with our committees. And as you know, they cover things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, spending rates, trends on different spending policies, underwater funds. We're hearing more about ESG. And so all of these things are amazingly helpful that we could be sharing with our full boards and investment committees. So I would recommend to everyone that, number one, they send someone to the to the Foundation Leadership Forum. And then after that, think about having a full board education to talk about some of the items shared at that meeting.
That's a great idea. One of the nice things about the forum too is it affords an opportunity to talk with peers, not just look at numbers, and really understand if somebody's performance is really significantly different from yours. Maybe that's because they have a very different risk profile. Maybe
Yes.
They have different investment objectives. So being able to talk with your colleagues from across the country, from a spectrum of different types of colleges and universities, can really be helpful in putting your committee's work in perspective.
Yes.
Well, I will look forward to seeing you at the AGB Foundation Leadership Forum in January, and I will thank you again for your work on endowment management for higher ed. I know it's a tremendously valuable resource for a lot of boards, and I would commend it to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.